Hey guys, I did a video of the R100 a few days ago. It was too lengthy and video quality was kind of shite, so I'm redoing it with my GoPro Karma, just hoping that it's gonna just be nicer. Because the reason I'm doing this video about this build is for my own records. I want to have a record of what I did on the bike, because this one was a really intricate build and took me a couple years to finalize it and get it to run to where I like to be. The idle is great, it runs great, it looks amazing. This video is what I did to my bike and the things I like and the things I don't like. Alright guys, so I'm gonna try to go through this as quick as I can, because who has half an hour to watch me blabber about all the parts. So this one's an RT. It had the big windscreen and all that, and it damaged the tank. The tank was all bumped up and dents in it and stuff. So I had a professional shop fix that for me. They did a great job. They charged me like 300 bucks Canadian to paint that and the seat cowl. So that was a sick deal, and now the bike just looks mint. It looks brand new. So you take all that out, and the other thing, you first get the bike, you just start stripping, right? So the main thing is that I think is one of the most rewarding thing is you come here and you get rid of the airbox and the choke assembly, which is all here. It fills up this whole space here, and then this cover. This is a cast aluminum cover that I got. It's from New Zealand actually, and it's got a nice thick sidewall just like the engine. So it's a beautiful match. It's really it's really a piece of art. So highly recommend getting that. I have a link for that part. Got rid of the battery. It was also freaking ugly right there, right? So now it's like it breathes. It's a racer now. I moved the battery up here in the cowl, which was really cool. That was the one cool thing about this cowl is being able to just hide the battery. And now it's like, where is it? Like, scratch your head. So I created a little panel here, just a flat aluminum panel, and zip tied it because you can't weld aluminum. And the battery sits on top, and on the bottom, I have a Ducati Scrambler light that I put there, and it's absolutely beautiful, beautiful fit. It was a perfect fit actually. So now I got this cool LED light for the back from so that Ducati Scrambler right there, that's my girlfriend's, and she got an aftermarket, so I just had this part sitting around. But you could pick one of those up on eBay, just a stock one, or just order an aftermarket one. Works great too. So highly recommend doing that if you got the rounded back end. So that was it for the removal of right here. Obviously you gotta put the pud filters, these little pud filters, and you gotta get these little choke assembly. Those are from Wonderlinch. Wonderlinch, I have a link for these guys for both Europe and the US. And they're the guys who will sell you, new fuel lines. These fuel filter are really cool because they're metal instead of plastic. Because the whole bike is no plastic anywhere, so you don't want to start adding some more plastic to it once you just stripped all the plastic off, right? Makes sense. So and I rebuilt the carbs. Wonderlinch has all the parts for that too, new diaphragm, float bowl. God, I even changed the screws because I wanted to look super nice. So yeah, and then you get your petcocks. Okay, so the petcocks, this one's an aftermarket because the tank was repaired right here, but the ones you get from Wonderlinch are like the originals. Change your petcock, okay? I can't stress this enough. This one was leaking. Well, this is a new one now, but the one on this side was leaking, and it leaked all winter when it was stored, and all the gas went down and it piled up in here. And as you can see, something happened here, right? Well, when I started the bike in the spring, freaking bikes, caught on fire, and like flames freaking shooting like 4 feet high. And it's because of all the gas that gathered here. And what happened is that the petcock had, it was just, most old petcocks, they're broken. So it was just leaking, slow leaking, and yeah. So that was the scene. So get new petcocks regardless if you think they're great or not, because then you could burn your shop down. Or for me, when that fire happened, I was in crutches, so I was running for the extinguisher, and it was quite the scene. So yeah, you don't want that to happen. So change your petcocks, really important. So as you guys can see, the engine is coated with this really thick black paint. This is a 2-part epoxy high temp paint. It's made for engine. It's called engine paint. I have a link in the description for that material. I used 1 can of primer and 2 cans of paint to do the whole engine, and it just looks so fucking sick. I mean, seriously, it's shiny and it's tough. Like, I don't even have a fender, and look at this. It's like mint. So it's extremely tough, and it's the best paint I've ever had to work with. It's so shiny, and it's perfect. Like, it didn't drip whatsoever. That was really rewarding. I highly recommend to do that, because the engine looks so grungy. It was like old dirty aluminum that you can't really clean, and yeah, now it looks it looks epic. And because because you get that panel too, and then you paint it all together, right, with that panel. But now you got the engine just free floating in there. It's just beautiful. This thing is just a beauty. I got new stickers, obviously, because might as well, right, when you're doing a nice shiny new build. For the pipes, I went with Zard. Zard, I have a link to that too. They're the only one that really make a cool, like, nice, high quality pipe for this bike. All the other ones are kind of like chromey and cheesy. Like, this is freaking nice pipe, and it's not cheap. I think it was like over $1,000, but it's just high quality, and it sounds so sick. Like, this thing, I'm not gonna start it today. I have another video. If you look at my videos, another video I made in the summer about the sound. But anyway, if you don't have a sub, you can't really hear the deep notes, but it's loud. It's not neighbor friendly in any way. It's like Harley. It sounds like a Harley, right? So pretty intense. To undo the pipes, you need a tool from Wonder Lynch. It's a really cool old school cast iron. It's a cool piece. It's like $50, but you absolutely need it to play with this. And sometimes you got to tighten them too, because they get loose for some weird reason. I mean, the Boxer engine has this thing, right? Not that it vibrates a lot, but it throws you left and right. Like, when you're idling at a red light or a stop, you feel the engine like it's just bumping you left and right. It's a pretty cool feeling, very unique to the Boxer engine. But maybe that's why this tend to unscrew after a few months of riding. Moving on. Okay, so the forks I coated with just a can of freaking oil paint, and it's tough. Power washed it, freaking rocks went against it, and it's done super great. So really happy with that. That worked out great. These I don't know where to get. Sorry guys, the previous owner did that. Really beefs up the front end. I think it's a must do. All right, for the light, I went with a Motodemic LED light. It's the proper expensive stuff, but you can find these on eBay for like $100 or less. So, and they're pretty classic and they're cool. A lot of people are using those now. But anyway, so I went with one of those. I changed the ring because the old ring, I didn't trust it. Like, it just felt a bit loose, and you got the light and no fender. I just felt like I was gonna die. The light was gonna fall on the wheel and I was gonna die. So I didn't want. So I got a new ring, super cheap, totally worth it for safety. I changed the disc. Somehow my disc was warped. It didn't look warped. Like, you put it on the bench and it didn't look warped, but it was warped. I don't get it. But anyway, and then when you do the disc, absolutely you need to change the pads, because I didn't do that. They say to do that, but I was like, no, I'm fine, and it wasn't fine. Like, it wasn't breaking at all. So do your pads and disc at the same time. Moving on here to the tachometer. So went with the Ace Well, because the main reason you go with the Ace Well is because they've got the transmission. This comes stock with the bike, but it's analog. right? But so they made a digital version of this to calculate your speed. So it's super cool. It's you can't beat it. Otherwise, you're gonna have a big wire going down the forks, and you're gonna calculate from that, but it's gonna look like shit. So the Acewell is a great idea just because of that, and it's a pretty cool unit, you know. Had some problems with it, and wiring it is a freaking biatch, and nobody can tell you which wire goes with which one, so it's very time consuming. You just end up spending your freaking life trying to figure out what's what, but I somehow figured it out because it's working. So it looks cool, and I made a little bracket, a custom little bracket, so it sits in the middle here. It's one of those things with that bike, it's not gonna come with a bracket, you know. Plus I changed the whole front end here too. As you guys can see here, it was this grungy old little piece here, and it just looked like shit. So I got this piece from the top brace from Toaster Tan, and they sell you the whole kit with the rods, stem, and it's, you know, it's made for a fat bar. So now you can put a fat bar, because I had a cheesy old skinny 7/8 bar, so it's really lame. So I highly recommend doing that. It's very rewarding. The whole front end just looks beefy now. It just looks tough. So it's awesome. For the bar, I went with the Pro Taper Evo Windham. It's a mid-rise. I love that rise. It's not too high that it looks wonky, but it's not too low that it just gives you a nice wide, cool stance when you ride. It makes you feel badass with your angle of riding. I rebuilt the forks because the forks were diving. They were way too soft. So I rebuilt the forks with progressive springs that I think I got on eBay, but I'm not sure. But I know they sell them on eBay, so I'll have a link for the eBay progressive springs. They're $100, I think. So that's a must do, and it's just pretty easy. You need a certain tool. So you need to buy a certain tool to undo this bolt here, and a certain tool to undo the top caps here. It's got 2 pins. But once you got that going, you know, it's pretty simple. You swap your spring, put it back, the new springs, and done. For the flashers, I went with the Moto Gadget bar end flashers, because where else are you gonna put them? I didn't really know where else to put them, and I think that's freaking rad idea. So I went with those, and you only need those, right? Because it's wider than you when you're riding, so people can see them from the front and the back. So it's fucking great. It's a fucking great way to get all your flashes in one, and they're super bright, so they're super safe and they look so cool. So what a cool thing. The only thing is that, you know, after that for mirrors, it gets a little bit complicated. You have way less options for mirrors, because most mirrors wants to just slide in from the end. You need a mirror that you can actually pop the top and the bottom. But, you know, once you find a mirror, you're set. But it's very limited selection for mirrors. They're a biatch to wire. I'm not gonna lie. These sucked wiring. These totally suck. You have to drill right here, and you have to pass your wire through here. It's tiny wire. Like, it's not a fun job, you know. So, but once you got it going, you're set, you know. Oh yeah, and that's also from Toaster Town. They can sell you that to clean up that hole there. Tank, the fuel tank. Anyway, the cover here is, I don't know where to get it. It was done by the previous owner, but you know, it's like a nice cast aluminum piece, so it's a must-have, I think, to my opinion, because it makes the bike look so cool. And that old grungy plastic piece underneath is not approved, so I would get one of those too. And I think we pretty much, the Öhlins. Probably one of the highlight of the bike is the Öhlins springs. They're just so beautiful. And it's such my bike, the way I did it, it's a high quality build, you know, with like really nice parts. So I didn't want to cheap out on shocks, and I just thought the Öhlin would make the bike come to life, and it really does. I mean, that's the first thing you see kind of on the bike. It looks so fucking sick. But Öhlin kind of pissed me off. When you order these, I got them on Wonder Lynch, USA, and you order these up, and they ask you like what's done to the bike, if you reduce the weight, what's your riders, what's your weight. So they said that they're actually gonna custom make those shocks for you, and they totally didn't. Like it's such bullshit. They came in so stiff. I mean, I wasn't getting even 1 inch of travel, so that was super lame. So I had to get the lighter spring. I installed the lighter spring in here, which they charged me like $200 for the lighter spring when they fucked up in the first place. So I was not happy with Öhlins, and I've talked with other people about Öhlins, and they've had the same problem. Even on the brand new Triumph Scrambler, the super tall, nice piece, people are having the same problem. They're like, Jesus, I'm 200 pounds, you know, the only way I can get those to work is when my girlfriend's on the bike. And bullshit, Öhlin, get your shit together. All right, the wheels, just to finish here, the wheels. The seat cowl, before we finish. The seat cowl is, I can't find anymore the link for that anymore. I saw it on eBay once, but it's gone. It's gone now. So it's an aluminum and genuine leather seat. It's really expensive though. They paid it over $1,000 for this, but God, it's so gorgeous. It's the real deal. And you know, freaking cool to be able to put your light in here, your battery, sorry. So I recommend, I mean, it's a weird look, right? Some people would be like, well, it's a cafe scrambler. Like you mix the cafe and the scrambler. Yeah, I did. But just because I can hide the battery in the cowl, it's worth it, right? To my opinion, that makes it worth it. So, yeah, so I recommend it. I mean, God, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad to mingle those two styles together. Okay, so just to finish up, the wheels, they've been powder coated, the snowflakes, famous snowflakes. And the tires are the Continental TKC 80s. And I recommend doing those tires. I mean, they're a bit bumpy at low speed, but they just look so badass. I've got them on 3 bikes now, and I just love them. The back tire, I should have went way bigger, but I didn't know if it was gonna fit. So definitely good idea to size up on both tires. Just makes the bike looks a bit beefier. I'm just wondering if I covered it all here. I think that's it, guys. All right, guys, that wraps up my build review of my 1978 BMW R100. I hope this helps you guys in your decision, hopefully, as to what to do and what not to do, you know, on your bike. As far as doing a cheap build or an expensive build, I'm not too sure which one's best. This one cost me a few grand in parts for sure, and with, you know, the original price of the bike and all that, you know, I'm sitting at a pretty high cost in the end, and I spent a lot of time tuning the carbs was a biatch, and you know, like when I first got the bike, it didn't start for 3 weeks. You know, that's the kind of bike that it's been for me. It's been a really challenging project. It's definitely frustrating at times when I couldn't figure out what to do. Like the charging system went this spring, and I couldn't figure out what was the deal. And I changed all the parts in the charging system, and it turns out the system needed to be energized, which never heard of that before. But luckily, an old timer at the shop figured that out. So he jolted the system, and the system came to life. So go figure. But yeah, it's been challenging but it's been the most rewarding build I've ever done. It's absolutely freaking gorgeous. I like it so much I made posters for my office, and I hope to remember this bike forever, because it's doing an old build like that is tough, but the rewards are huge. So I hope you guys never give up on your builds, especially the old ones, because it could be challenging when everybody's going riding and you're out in the garage tuning your carbs and the bike won't start. It's really annoying. So anyway, parts links are in the description, and feel free to ask me any questions. I'm here to help you guys with your tech questions. Cheers.